I'm Jack, a 28-year-old who spends most of his days immersed in the world of electrical appliances. My sanctuary from the daily grind is the warm embrace of my wife Emily. We first met at work, and after a bit of persistent pursuit on my end, she became mine. Emily is a beacon of grace, effortlessly excelling not only in the kitchen, but also in the delicate art of the tea ceremony and the soothing melodies of the violin. Her traditional upbringing instilled in her the belief that a wife's place is at home, caring for her family without hesitation. So when she decided to leave her job to support me after we tied the knot, I felt blessed to have her by my side. Just the sight of her smile brightens up our humble abode, filling it with warmth and love. But all it took was one fateful summer evening to shatter the illusion of our blissful marriage. Exhausted from a long day of dealing with clients, I stumbled upon a scene that would forever alter the course of our lives. There she was, or so I thought, Emily, walking hand in hand with another man. My initial joy at the unexpected sight quickly turned to disbelief as I noticed the easy camaraderie between them. Emily, the introverted soul I knew so well, chatting and laughing with a man I'd never seen before. It felt like a betrayal of everything I thought I knew about her. Unable to process the shock coursing through my veins, I impulsively captured the moment with a photo, a tangible reminder of the gut-wrenching truth staring me in the face. Ignoring the beckoning call of overtime at the office, I headed straight home, my mind racing with questions and doubts. When Emily returned home, her tired facade couldn't hide the guilt that flickered in her eyes. Her attempt to feign nonchalance only fueled my suspicion, pushing me to confront her about her whereabouts. As we sat down for dinner, I mustered the courage to confront her with the damning evidence. The smile faltered on Emily's lips as she laid eyes on the incriminating photo. Her feeble attempt at deception crumbled under my scrutiny, leaving behind a hollow shell of excuses. The revelation of her supposed brother only added fuel to the fire of my anger and betrayal. In a fit of rage and hurt, I lashed out, accusing her of betraying the sacred trust we had built together. My words cut through the air like knives, each syllable tearing at the fragile threads holding our marriage intact. Emily's tears only served to fuel my anger, pushing her further, away from me with each passing moment. And so, in the blink of an eye, our once happy marriage lay in ruins, shattered by the weight of lies and deceit. As Emily gathered her belongings and left our home, I was left to grapple with the harsh reality of our shattered dreams. Our marriage was supposed to be a haven of happiness, but instead, it had become a battleground of broken promises and shattered trust. In the aftermath of Emily's sudden departure, I found myself adrift in a sea of confusion and despair. The realization that she had left without offering any explanation felt like a damning admission of guilt, plunging me into a whirlpool of disbelief and anguish. How could the woman I loved, the woman I had built a life with, betray me in such a way? As the days stretched into a week without any word from Emily, my desperation only grew. I yearned to confront her, to demand answers to the questions that tormented my mind. But the fear of facing the harsh reality of her betrayal held me back, leaving me stranded in a state of paralyzed indecision. In a futile attempt to distract myself from the pain, I threw myself into my work, burying my emotions beneath a mountain of tasks and deadlines. Yet, even amidst the hustle and bustle of the office, I couldn't escape the suffocating grip of my own turmoil. The concern of my co-workers only served to exacerbate my inner turmoil, each inquiry about Emily's well-being feeling like a jagged reminder of the gaping void she had left behind. Their well-intentioned gestures of sympathy only served to deepen my sense of isolation, pushing me further into the shadows of my own despair. And then, just as I thought I couldn't sink any lower, fate dealt me another cruel blow. Returning home late one evening, exhausted and depleted, I was confronted by the sight of an unfamiliar figure standing on my doorstep. At first, I dismissed him as a mere stranger, a passing shadow in the night. But as I drew closer, a cold shiver ran down my spine as recognition dawned upon me. It was the same man who had been with Emily on that fateful evening, the man who had shattered my illusions of happiness with his mere presence. Despite my initial instinct to lash out in anger, I found myself rooted to the spot, unable to tear my gaze away from his pleading eyes. His words cut through the silence like a knife, a desperate plea for understanding and forgiveness. And though every fibre of my being screamed to shut him out, to cling to the bitterness and resentment that had become my only companions, a small voice whispered that perhaps it was time to face reality. With a heavy heart and a wary eye, I reluctantly allowed him entry into my home, bracing myself for the onslaught of painful truths that were sure to follow. And as he began to speak, his words tumbled forth in a torrent of emotion, revealing a story of hardship and redemption that I had never dared to imagine. "My name is Alex Scott," he began, his voice trembling with emotion. "Actually, I am Emily's brother." As Alex's words sank in, my initial fury gave way to a bewildered realization. Could this man truly be Emily's long-lost brother? The pieces of the puzzle started to fall into place as I recalled Emily's maiden name, Scott. It seemed too coincidental to be untrue. Despite my skepticism, I listened as Alex revealed the painful truth of his past. He spoke of a downward spiral fueled by gambling and alcohol, a cycle of self-destruction that had torn him apart from his family. His absence from Emily's wedding, once a source of confusion and hurt, now made sense in the context of his troubled past. And yet, despite the rift that had torn their family apart, Emily had never given up on him. As Alex continued to recount his journey towards redemption, a sense of admiration mingled with my confusion. Emily's unwavering support had been the lifeline that had pulled him from the depths of despair, her love a beacon of hope in his darkest hours. But it was the revelation of Emily's secret sacrifices that truly took my breath away. In the shadows of our marriage, she had silently borne the burden of her brother's struggles, sacrificing her own comfort and happiness to ensure his well-being. The realization hit me like a sledgehammer. While I had been consumed by doubts and suspicions, Emily had been quietly shouldering the weight of her family's secrets. In that moment, a wave of empathy washed over me, washing away the resentment and anger that had clouded my judgment. Emily's actions, though shrouded in secrecy, were born out of love and selflessness, a testament to the depth of her devotion. As I listened to Alex's story, I began to understand the delicate balance Emily had been forced to navigate. Her family's reputation, built upon generations of wealth and prestige, hung in the balance, threatened by the revelation of her brother's struggles. And yet, despite the risks, Emily had chosen to stand by her brother, to offer him the second chance he so desperately needed. Her silence, though painful, had been a necessary sacrifice to protect both her family's honor and her brother's fragile recovery. In that moment, as the pieces of the puzzle finally clicked into place, I felt a surge of gratitude for the woman who had stood by me through it all. Emily's love had been my anchor in a sea of doubt and uncertainty, her unwavering support a beacon of light in the darkest of times. With a newfound understanding, I vowed to stand by Emily, to support her in the same way she had supported her brother. Together, we would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in our commitment to honesty, trust, and above all, love. The more I contemplated Emily's situation and the sacrifices she had made, the deeper my understanding of her actions became. The realization of her silent struggle, her commitment to supporting Alex despite the potential consequences for herself, moved me profoundly. Tears, a mixture of regret and empathy, streamed down my face as I considered the weight she had carried alone. Beside me, Alex, overwhelmed by emotion, cried with a depth of gratitude and relief that spoke volumes of his appreciation for Emily's unwavering support. Alex's confession, amid sobs, struck a chord within me. He admitted that he had wrestled with the decision to reveal himself, fearing the impact it might have on Emily's marriage. Yet, driven by a desire to prevent our separation, he chose to place his trust in me, hoping for understanding and forgiveness. This gesture, this leap of faith from Alex, thawed the last remnants of my resentment, replacing it with a warmth that radiated from the very core of my being. In the silent conversations of my heart, I called out to Emily, my remorse and longing intertwining in a silent plea for her return. Emily, I'm so sorry for the conclusions I jumped to, for not giving you the chance to explain. Please, come back to me. Let me make amends for my mistake. These words, though unspoken, carried the weight of my sincere intention to reconcile and rebuild what had been damaged. A few days following this heartfelt revelation, Emily and Alex returned to our home, marking the beginning of our journey toward healing and understanding. Emily approached me with a sincerity that broke through the last barriers of my doubt, offering her apologies for the secrets she had kept. From the depths of my heart, I offered my own apologies, acknowledging the pain my lack of trust had caused her. In that moment, our mutual expressions of regret and forgiveness laid the foundation for a renewed bond, stronger and more transparent than ever before. Alex too expressed his deep regret for the turmoil his presence had caused, acknowledging the necessity of reconciling with his parents and taking responsibility for his past actions. The atmosphere, once tense and heavy with unspoken grievances, lightened as genuine smiles and a sense of relief filled the room. In the months that followed, Alex took the crucial steps toward mending the rift with his parents, his sincere apologies and renewed commitment to a better path leading to the lifting of his disownment. This reconciliation not only healed the scars within their family, but also brought a sense of closure and hope for the future. Emily and I, with lessons learned and hearts open, vowed to uphold a new standard of honesty and openness in our relationship. The challenges we had faced, while painful, had ultimately served to strengthen our bond, teaching us the invaluable importance of trust and communication. We emerged from this trial not just as husband and wife, but as true partners, committed to supporting one another through whatever life might bring. No longer burdened by secrets or doubts, we stepped forward into a renewed life together,